Manx Radio Sport.
Good evening, welcome to Friday Sport Preview on Manx Radio. Rob Pritchard and the team with you for the next hour, looking ahead to the sporting action on Ireland and beyond this weekend. Coming up tonight. The race for Railway Cup qualification is hotting up in the Canada Life Men's Premier League ahead of the latest Manx football clashes. In the sole rugby tie this weekend, two Ireland sides will face off for a place in the final of the Cheshire Bowl. A mixed Premier League Southern Derby is among the headline fixtures coming up in hockey. The Manx Rams netball side are in Asia to compete in an international tournament for the first time. And an Ireland organisation which provides people with disabilities the chance to excel in sport is celebrating a huge milestone. That's all to come this evening. Welcome to the latest edition of Friday Sport Preview on Manx Radio, your latest look ahead to all the sporting action, football, rugby, hockey and more besides, both on the Isle of Man and further afield over the coming days. We're going to turn our attention first of all to football in what is a busy programme this evening, and joining us as ever is our football correspondent Tony Mepham. And Tony, as I just mentioned in the intro there, the qualification race for this year's Railway Cup is very much hotting up, isn't it?
Very much so, Rob, and I've been looking at a few things as well, because certainly the weather that we've had today has been pretty wet, and tomorrow forecast a little bit, so we may be coming into one or two issues here to try and get teams qualified, but hopefully it will sort itself out. But certainly this afternoon the club pitches there have taken a right beating with the wet weather.
Indeed, weather is something that everyone will be keeping an eye on, no doubt. But before we get to specifics, Tony, of course, there is a change coming in for the next few months with regards to fixtures on Saturdays.
Yeah, just to explain it, obviously the clocks have gone back, so now it's a little bit dark, and as we can see, sort of at 5:30, it's pitch black. So we go to 2 o'clock kickoffs starting from tomorrow, and we've always got that St Mary's one at 1:45, and it just tidies up the Governor's Athletic game, but neither team have got a game at home this week anyway. But what we do is then reverse it in February. The first week in February we go back to 2:30. I know there are sort of comments going around, why don't you keep it at 2? I think a lot of it goes down to sort of people working Saturday morning, but 2 o'clock it's going to be until the first week in February, and hopefully we're going to have enough light at the end of the games.
Indeed. So, yep, if you've not long joined us, the football fixtures across the Isle of Man on Saturdays for the coming months now switching to slightly earlier kick-off time of 2 p.m. with a couple of exceptions throughout those weeks. Let's turn our attention to the Canada Life Men's Premier League, as mentioned just a couple of times now as well. The qualification for this year's Railway Cup hotting up. Of course, the Railway Cup comprises of the top 4 sides in the Canada Life Men's Premier League at the halfway point of the season. So after each team has played 12 games, we have a mixture at the moment. A few teams have played 9 games, some 8, and even a couple are still on 7 as well with games at hand. So still anyone's game mathematically in the grand scheme of things. We'll start off with what's going to be happening at Ballyfletcher on Saturday. The current Premier League leaders, Corinthians, they are the only undefeated side in the top flight as it stands at the moment. 6 wins and 3 draws from their opening 9 games, and they're going to be hosting last season's Railway Cup winners and FA Cup winners, Ayr United.
Yeah, and I think when you look at this one, you look at Corinthians' last 2 games, they drew with Laxey and then just beat St Mary's 1-0. Sean Doyle's out, and probably another month to go for Sean, but they need to try and sort something out, I think, up front to try and get a little bit more goals. And when you've got people like Connor Clark, you've also got Dan Simpson, Josh Ridings as well. Josh has been in good form. Luke Murray's back in the squad, I believe, so that certainly strengthens things. But defensively is where Corinthians like to tinker. They're either 3 at the back or 4 at the back. I don't know what they're going to do tomorrow, but good form has come from Baron Colley. You've got Ryan Burns, Stewie Smith's back in it as well. So when you look at Morgan Naylor can come in and play at that right full-back position, and just in front of them is protection by Declan Blake and also Ashley Higginbottom. Corinthians looking quite strong, but with Ayr United, now I've had a look at the team sheet, and 1 or 2 strange names are coming up for me, so whether they're players of past for Ayr United, maybe in the combination or something, but Alex Lashley and Liam Beige, I think it is, are in the team, and Sean Kelly didn't play in the last game, so they could do with him in that starting lineup, and Chris Duggan, certainly Jamie Callister are the main threats in front of goal. But great to see Harry Best back in the squad for Ayr United. Excellent player. Ben Fox isn't available. He's away this weekend. And Nick Hurt, evergreen Nick Hurt, is back in that centre midfield role. So Ayr will make it very difficult, but I just think Corinthians will edge it with home advantage.
Yeah, Ayr United 8th in the table at the moment. By their high standards over the last couple of seasons, a slow start for them in the league so far, just the 3 wins from their opening 9 games so far. Well, just a point behind Corinthians at the top of the table are Laxey in second, who suffered their first defeat of the season in that absolutely enthralling 5-4 defeat against Peel at Glen Road last time out. Well, Laxey are on the road this week and they're away at Douglas High School Old Boys, who sit second from bottom at the moment.
Yeah, Douglas High School Old Boys won't be looking forward to this one. Blackberry Lane must be a doubt because the pitch there, it's a little bit of a hill comes down, and hopefully the boys can get on the pitch in the morning and sort things out. But Old Boys players like Jacob Stones and Cameron Brew will be looking to see if they can make the difference up front. Ryan Gartland, if he starts, I think he was sub in the last game, will make a big difference in midfield and can score goals. But a lot of responsibility, I think, rests on the shoulders of people like Martin King at centre back. Robbie Ward would probably play a little bit deeper to try and keep things tight. But when you look at Laxey, Rob, I think the squad or the team starting lineup is getting stronger each week as players return. I say that in Brodie Patience, good to see him back. But Ed Canner has been a fantastic signing for them, continues to score goals. Ben Wazza coming away from FC Isle of Man at the moment. He'll be there up front, I would think. And Joe Walters, even though he didn't play against Peel, if available, he'll be in that starting lineup for Johnny Palmer. But then when you look strength in depth, you've got Cameron Avery, who's been absolutely superb at the back. Adam Meelan will work tirelessly in midfield. Tom Smith as well, back in that team. Tommy Kenny strong at the back. Charlie Robinson's there as well. But the pick for me at the moment is Aidan Pickering. I think he's been tremendous with that number 1 jersey on, making it his own. And I just see a comfortable victory for Laxey, and I'm apologising to Douglas High School Old Boys.
So yeah, Laxey 1 point off Corinthians at the top and just a point behind Laxey. 2 teams on 19 points. Onken in third, Russian United in fourth. Onken ahead by virtue of goal difference and with a game in hand on the teams around them as well. Russian United without a game this week, and it's their turn to have a rest week. But Onken have got themselves a tricky task away from home in the west of the island. They're up against defending champions Peel, Tony, who after 7 games have 14 points, so not threatening the top of the moment, but with those couple of games in hand, with Peel in the form they're in, could you see them starting to sneak back into contention?
Very much so, because Peel, when you look at that result against Laxey, and how much did that Lee Gale goal at the end lift that team? They absolutely went mental with that result. Good to see Daniel Bell back in. His experience will come through for these younger players. And when you look at Owen Dawson's been doing well in goal. Thomas Brown, a little bit quiet at the moment, but I'm sure he'll be looking to rectify that tomorrow against Onken. Israel Dunn's been playing well, scoring goals as well. Sam Kenyuk, I think, has been a really big plus for them back in the start of this season and playing well. And people like Ben Woodridge playing a little bit out of position, but playing well. And Taylor Andrews as well will be playing up front. Now, let's have a look at Onken. I think Onken have got 1 or 2 maybe issues tomorrow because Tom Creer is available. But then when you look at the players that aren't available, it's going to make it a tough afternoon for them. At the moment, the list I've got is Andy Asbridge, Josh Kenyuk, Aaron Christian are absent. Also Max Shirley and James Carouche. So that is a lot of starting lineup for Onken first team. Lucas Watterson will come back in. And if it's true, I haven't had the information through yet, that Nathan Robinson, who's a cracking young player who played for Braddon, signed for them at the start of this season, came from a pro club, has transferred to Onken. So with Nathan there, that will sort of cover a little bit if there's Andy Asbridge's absence is causing a problem. But I think it's going to be a massive game for Onken, and Nathan still might not be in that first team selection. We'll wait and see, but I think it's going to be a tough afternoon for Onken. I think certainly when you look at the teams that they've got to play, Rob, for qualification for the Railway Cup, they've got Old Boys to play, they've got Laxey to play, and Peel tomorrow. That's a big ask, and I hope they do it. I think they've been a breath of fresh air at the start of this season, but I'm going to go for Peel to take the result.
Very well. And elsewhere, 9th versus 10th tomorrow at Gary Moore, because Union Mill's in 10th. They're only 3 points above the relegation zone at the moment, but have a couple of games in hand, only played 7 to this point of Union Mills. They're going to be hosting Ramsey in 9th, Tony, just 2 points better off.
Yeah, Ramsey lost to Russian, lost to Ayr, so disappointment there in that team, and our thoughts are with the club, what events have happened over the last sort of 7-8 days, but excuse me, when I look at the players available, Dylan Pickles, Tom Chattel up front, it's really strong forward, so they need to get the ball to them. Jamie Agnew will feed them as well. Nathan Crane's in there, so there's plenty of players there who can score goals. But for Union Mills, I watched them recently against St John's. Tough first half for them. St John's were excellent, and I think Ryan Kelly again is just changing things around a little bit. We know Tyler Hughes on that left-hand side wing is a real big problem to deal with, but Union Mills are quite capable of taking the points, but I just think Ramsey are going to sneak this one.
Very well. Over at Victoria Road, Braddon, who are a point above the relegation zone at the moment, 1 win from their opening 9. They're going to be hosting St Mary's. Yeah,
and St Mary's, are a really tough side. When you look at that league table, Rob, St Mary's are 6th. They've played 9 for 12 points, so they're 11 points behind Corinthians, but that doesn't tell a story because St Mary's have got some really good players in there. Loss of Jack Murray will affect them because he's transferred back to Union Mills, and he scored a few goals for them at those 8-9 games. But when you look at Josh Evans, has been playing well at the back, keeping things solid. Jack McVeigh's in that team, I would think, and no Carl Clark because he's playing for FC Alaman, but Carl Henson will mix it around a little bit, and I think St Mary's will come out winners. I think Braddon at the moment are finding it tough.
Very well. And then at Billygoat Park, Foxdale, who are still searching for their first win of the season, but did get their first point of the season last time out against Onken. They're going to be hosting St John's United. Yeah, and when you look at Foxdale, that 9-2 loss against Laxey will have hurt them. But Foxdale, I'm pretty certain that the boys will work hard in the morning just to make sure that the pitch is sort of playable. But, St John's, you wouldn't want to really play them at the moment. Strong 6-1 win against Braddon recently. Joe Quayle, when he plays, he offers something different. Couple of goals for him last game. Paul Whitehead as well, couple of goals for his new club. And when you look at sort of Dean Leese out with that injury, to have players like that who can step in from that midfield role and score goals can give them a really big threat. Bradley Calvert's been playing really well, a new signing from Onken. And when you look at the form of Callum Taggart, Andrew Chadwick as well, points to me only one winner in this one, and that's St John's to win. Those are your ties in the Canada Life Men's Premier League tomorrow. Ardern and Drugger Limited Division 2. Now, this could be an opportunity for sides elsewhere in the table to maybe start closing in just a little bit, or at least temporarily, on the two teams at the top, because first place Castletown on 21 points and Colby in second on 20. Neither of them have a game this weekend, so the teams in behind them may be looking to claw back some ground, and one of those is Pulrose United in third. They're currently 5 points off the pace of Colby in second, albeit having played a game less, and they're going to be away at Maloo tomorrow, Tony.
Yeah, and I think sort of when you look at Maloo last week, they scored 3 goals, which was impressive against St George's, and they'll be looking to see if they can sort of do something against Pulrose. But, I know Pulrose lost recently, but, when they sort of beat Castletown as well, it shows that they are a very good side, and I think Maloo will find it a tough game. I think, they'll really have a go at them, but I just think with the people that they've got there, Owen Canepa, Joe Canepa, Barry English up front, they'll be so on it and trying to get the 3 points back up and get a little bit closer to Castletown and Colby. And if they did win it, it puts them on the same games as Colby with 2 points behind them. So it's all nice and tight indeed.
Just 1 point further back from Pulrose United is Ramsey Youth Centre and Old Boys. They've only played 7, so they've actually got 2 games in hand on Colby in second. Could move to within 3 points of Colby if they would take victory this weekend. Ramsey Youth Centre and Old Boys are at home to St George's, who got that first point of the season last weekend. Yeah, and with you look at Ramsey Youth Centre, they're always that sort of team that are always sort of close with the young players coming through the team. Okay, they lost Ross Crawford. Tom Hall, I think, is suspended, or I think he might be injured. I'm not too sure. So when you've got your 2 main sort of goal scorers missing, it's always going to be a little bit harder. With St George's, they're chipping away. The young players there are learning in experience in each game. 3 goals last week. I'm not too sure who got the goals, but certainly against Ramsey Youth Centre, they're going to find it tough. And I think Youthy, on that smaller pitch, they play it really well. Youthy take victory. Well, one still just outside mathematically from that battle towards the top of the mountain is Moran in fifth. They've, like Ramsey Centre and Old Boys, only played 7, so a couple of games in hand as well. They're only 1 point further back off Ramsey Centre and Old Boys on 13, so a victory for them this weekend could move them to within 4 points of Colby in second. Moran, they're going to be away at bottom of the table, Douglas and District this weekend.
Yeah, and I just think Moran, good 5-0 win last week against Governors, 2-0 at half-time. But David Brew will be happy enough with the progress. Start the season, it was a little bit slow for them, and they didn't play the first week, and then one of the games was postponed. But again, players that they've got in there, they're too good. Carl Hartman's got his name on the score sheet, so he's going well. When you look at other players around, David Reynolds is one, keeps things nice and solid at the back. And I think Brewery will be quite confident going into this game. Douglas and District have lost 1 or 2 players through injury, which makes it a little bit harder for the manager to pick. That's Billy McSweeney, who's playing in the team as well. I just think they'll find it too tough, D&D, and a victory for Moran.
And the final game in our Durham Drug Limited Division 2 this weekend, Douglas Roll in 6th. They take on Governors Athletic in 8th. Governors, incidentally, still looking for their first win of the season.
They are, and I think when you look at Governors, they've sort of changed things around a little bit. They're playing up at St Ninian School at the moment, but Douglas Royal's really good pitch, and they'll be hopeful of getting the victory that they want. We know that they can sort of mix it when they've got the full team out, which is the one that they're going to need to do. So this one, I think it'll be tight, but I'm going to go for Douglas Royal just to take the win.
Moving on to the Combination League, so Canada Life Combination 1, and just a quick summary of what's going on at the top of the table at the moment. Russian United leading the way ahead of Ramsey, both teams on 20 points. Russian United only ahead on goal difference, and having played 9 to Ramsey's 8. Ramsey's games, both of Ramsey's games last weekend were postponed. Well, Ramsey back in action this weekend and could leapfrog Russian United, who don't play this weekend in Combination 1. Ramsey, they're going to be at home to Union Mills, who are second from bottom.
Yeah, it is, and you just expect Ramsey to win this one. It's just amazing how you see these two teams. They just filter to the top of the table and then stay there. They've got a little bit of a chase behind them coming on. Corinthians, St John's, Peel, Laxey I would include in that as well, and I wouldn't count Onken out, but I just think Ramsey will prove too strong for Union Mills.
And among the other ties, the early kick-off in Canada Life Combination 1, that's a 1:45 kick-off, so 15 minutes earlier than the other games. St Mary's versus Braddon.
Yeah, I'm going to go for St Mary's. I think Braddon, maybe 1 or 2 players lost out, 2 going into the first team, so it'll make them a little bit weaker. St Mary's got a strong combination. Go for St Mary's to win.
Corinthians in third, 5 points off the top 2 at the moment. They're going to be away to Ayr United, who are 10th.
Yeah, and Corinthians didn't play last week, and they're looking at the 2 teams above them, and there's no panic. Corinthians have only played 7 for 15 when you look at the top of the table. Russian played 9 for 20, but Russian beat them, so it shows that Corinthians have got a little bit of work to do, but it's a very, very young side indeed, and I'm going to go for Corinthians to win.
St John's United in 4th, 15 points, only behind Corinthians on goal difference against bottom of the table Foxdale.
Yeah, and Foxdale just find it really tough. Hopefully the players are back and available for them so they can get a team out. I'm sure they will. As well with St John's, they've got players in there that, are first team players. You can see people like Paul Whitehead coming in and others, which means that other quality players filter back into the combination. And they've always had a strong combination side, St John's, so I'll go for St John's to take the 3 points.
Then Onken in 7th, going to be hosting Peel in 5th.
Yeah, and when you look at Peel, you're just expecting them to keep climbing up the table. They had a great victory against Laxey, beating them 6-3, as were with Onken. Less said, the better for the opposition, but to score 23 goals in any game, Rob, takes some doing, and I think it's going to be a good game. But
I'm reliably informed actually from that game last week, and I'm reliably informed that Foxdale didn't have an out-and-out goalkeeper available. Yeah. But credit to Foxdale for keeping on going in that one.
Absolutely, and when you come across, it can work for you or against you, and it just worked against Foxdale because Onken were pretty well full strength, as you say. That Foxdale had to put a standing keeper in. And it happens, that's football, but they keep chipping away. They're a great club, and unfortunately this year it's tough going for them.
And the final game in Combination 1, Laxey in 6th. They'll be hosting Douglas High School Old Boys in 9th. Yeah,
and I've said it many times before, and I'm going to keep saying it with Old Boys. You don't know what combination side they're going to have out, because when you look at some of the results that they've had, they've been absolutely brilliant. And other results they've taken a little bit of a hiding, but against Laxey. Laxey just score so many goals at the moment, and even though they got beat last week against Peel, they still got the 3 goals, and it was tight at half-time 2-2, but, against Old Boys, I'll go with Laxey to win. And
then a quick look at Ardern and Drug Unlimited Division 2. So a quick reminder of how things are looking at the top of the table as it stands. Pulrose United, 9 wins from 9, flawless record so far, top of the table with 27 points, 5 points clear of Ramsey Youth Centre and Old Boys, who themselves are undefeated, 7 wins and a draw in their opening 8. They're on 22 points and then completing the top 3 at the moment. 3 points further back, also after 8 games, are Douglas Athletic. But 6 games in Ardern and Drug Unlimited Combination 2 this weekend, Tony.
Yeah, and we'll look at Castletown against Jims. I think Jims will win this one. I know they got beat by the league leaders, Pulrose 6-2, but still put a good show in for themselves. The Pulrose against Maloo, I'll go with Pulley. They really are strong, and James Clark, if he can repeat what he did 7 days ago with 4 goals, it might be the difference. St George's against Ramsey Youth Centre and Old Boys, it was sort of looking at the league tables, you have to go with Ramsey Youth Centre and Old Boys. Douglas Athletic against Governors Athletic. It's Douglas Athletic. Moran against D&D. I'll go for Moran to take the points. And Michael against Douglas Royal. I think Douglas Royal will win that.
And those are all your fixtures on Saturday. And again, just a reminder, if you've joined us in the last few moments as well, from now and for the next couple of months, games kicking off slightly earlier on Saturday now at 2 p.m. instead of 2:30 p.m. So half an hour earlier than we've been having in the opening couple of weeks of the season. Well, after a break in Sunday fixtures last weekend over the half-term break, Sunday fixtures return this time around on this Sunday, the 2nd of November. The Canada Life Women's League returns to action. We've got 3 games there. We'll start off with one of the sides that have made an impressive start to the season, Tony. Onken, second in the table after 4 games, 3 wins and a defeat, only behind the leaders Corinthians on goal difference. They're at home to Maloo.
Yeah, they have, and I don't know if Casey Helzo's been playing in all the games. I know she scored and played in the first one, but big difference she will make. But this will be a close encounter because, when you look at Corinthians, look at Peel, they're your sort of 2 top sides, and then you're looking at, Onken and Maloo to sort of mix it in that. But I'm going to go for Onken just to win it, but it'll be a tight old game and a lot to play for.
And elsewhere in the West, Peel, the defending champions, they're third in the table, but have only played 2 games so far, but they have won both of those 2, including beating current leaders Corinthians 3-2 the last time Peel took to the pitch. They're going to be hosting Union Mills, Tony, 4 defeats from their opening 4, but maybe is it just a case of experience this season for this newly formed Union Mills side?
Yeah, I think it is down to experience, Rob, and I think the clubs have been more than fair with them, the way they're sort of playing it. And, when you look at Peel, let's go back to that result against Corinthians. They were 2-0 down, and then sort of Becky Corkish brought them back into it at 2-1. Pippa Wallace got one, and then it was Ellie Gorn who completed the scoring. So that was a fantastic turnaround for them, and advantage to them at the moment. They've still got to play each other again, but against Union Mills, you'd expect Peel to win this one, and they've got a big squad, Peel. So it gives them the opportunity to play the younger players, and Union Mills will gain experience. They're getting better each week, and against Peel, they'll just see one of the better sides.
Third and final game, Douglas Royal, 2 wins and 2 defeats in their opening 4 so far, and they're going to be hosting the current league leaders Corinthians. This could be a tough test for Douglas Royal.
It could be, but you got to remember that Douglas Royal were top of the league at the start of the season after a couple of games. But they've had one set of fixtures where they couldn't field a team against Corinthians. Corinthians will be smarting after that performance against Peel. They played well, but to concede the 3 goals at the end sort of has cost them dearly. But against Douglas Royal, you'd expect Corinthians to win.
And just finally, very quickly, Tony, got around 60 seconds or so. FC Isle of Man back in action this weekend. For the first time, they've gone 3 games unbeaten, 2 wins and a draw. They welcome Longridge Town this weekend. What's maybe been the key to this recent uplift in form, would you like?
I think Rick getting a grip of the players and just explaining to them what he wants from them. He's completely different to Paul Jones, 2 very good coaches. But Rick has, been there, got the T-shirt, hasn't he? So has Paul, to be fair. And I just think it's coming good for them. Let's hope that they can have a good run. They've got another home fixture next week as well. And a couple of more coming up after that one. But you have to go for FC Isle of Man to win, hopefully.
Excellent, Tony. Thank you very much. And if you're not heading down to the Bowl to watch FC Isle of Man tomorrow night, we at Manx Radio have got you covered. Full live match commentary from myself and Darren Simpson from 6 p.m. tomorrow on Manx Radio AM 1368.
Manx Radio Sport.
Elsewhere, the Manx Rams netball team says it's looking forward to testing itself in a new challenge at an international tournament in Asia this weekend. For the first time, the Ireland national side will take part in the Sing Life Nations Cup in Singapore, which starts this Sunday and runs until next Saturday, the 8th of November. It'll see them face two sides from the host nation, Singapore A and Singapore Vanders, as well as the national squads of Kenya, Malaysia and Papua New Guinea. Well, the Rams co-captains Ashley Hall and Rachel Johnstone are excited at the prospect of facing new opposition and explain some of the changes Isle of Man netball has undergone behind the scenes in the last few months.
So I think the biggest change that we've had is we've got a head coach and assistant coach who are based in the UK, so they come over maybe once a month. So we've changed more to like a camp setup. So we're training on a Friday, Saturday and Sunday once a month. So I think that's been really good actually in terms of we get the team together and we can really work on things for a whole weekend. We've also had a lot of new team players come in, and so it's been a really interesting time.
The other nations you'll be coming up against, how good a test do you think it'll be?
Yeah, they're new teams. We haven't played them before, so we're really looking forward to having new opponents. But I think 3 are ranked higher than us in the world rankings, so it's going to be a challenge, but one that we're up for.
It is a bit of an unknown that you're going into, like, say, teams that you've not played before. Is that almost refreshing in some way, that you've not necessarily got anything to work on, you can just focus on what you're doing?
Yeah, definitely. I think for the last few years we have played teams over and over again, and sometimes you kind of get into a rhythm of results and then that creates pressure, whereas this tournament we've never played these teams before. It's probably going to be a very different style of netball that we'll be playing against as well, so it's just an opportunity for us to go no fear, underdogs, see what we can do.
There's a couple of new additions that have been getting involved, whether it's training side or maybe actually going on the journey as well. How have the newer additions bedded in with those of you with experience of these sort of events?
I think they bed in really well. We play with these girls at club, we play against them at other clubs. Although they're new to the squad, we know each other from netball on the island, so it works really well. But we're all learning new tactics all the time, so whether they're new or not, or whether we've got experience, we're all learning.
What objectives, if any, have you set yourselves for this particular tournament?
I think for us it's about just going out there and playing our game. We have prepped over the last few camp weekends, and it's just going out there and playing the Manx Rams way, really.
Those are Manx Rams co-captains Ashley Hall and Rachel Johnstone ahead of the Manx Rams inaugural test at the Sing Life Nations Cup in Singapore, which starts this Sunday, the 2nd of November, and runs until next Saturday, the 8th of November. Well, the Manx Rams' first game of the tournament at the OCBC Arena in Singapore will be against one of the Singapore sides, Singapore A, at 3 p.m. local time on Sunday. And the full Manx Rams squad is as follows. It is Becca Cook, Alice Cross, Rhiann Evans, Ashley Hall, Ailish Harris, Lexa Hattersley, Rachel Johnston, Zoe Kirkham, Paige Macquarie, Kenzie Pizzi, Chloe Swales and Natalie Swales, led by head coach Jane Lomax and assistant coach Nordia Masters as well. The Manx Rams currently 31st in the world netball rankings going into this tournament. Okay, so that is football and netball. After the break, we will be taking a look at the one rugby tie this weekend, and it is with plenty of incentive to Ireland sides looking for a place in the Cheshire Bowl final, looking at the latest Manx hockey ties, and also a look at an Ireland organisation celebrating its 20th anniversary. Back shortly.
Manx Radio Sport.
Welcome back to Friday Sport Preview on Manx Radio. Our focus now shifts to rugby. Now, with a lot of leagues across England and beyond taking a little bit of a back seat going into what is the autumn internationals, well, there is going to be one game here on the Isle of Man this weekend, and it is not without incentive. It is the semi-finals of the Cheshire Bowl, and it's going to see North versus South. Ramsey up against Southern Nomads, and to go through things with us is our rugby correspondent Dave Christian. Dave, so Ramsey and Southern Nomads, plenty of incentive for each of them, a place in a final up for grabs late in the season.
Yeah, the County Cup competition, Rob, is seeded, so they try and group the clubs together in in playing capability groups. And Ramsey, Southern Nomads, Hoylake and New Brighton are the 4 that are in the Cheshire Bowl this season. New Brighton play Hoylake, Ramsey play Southern Nomads, the 2 semis. And you're guessing probably the top seeded team in the pool is New Brighton. So I'm going to guess here that the final will be somebody against New Brighton, and whether that's Ramsey or Southern Nomads, well, that'll all be unveiled tomorrow, 2:15 at the Merrick Park. Contrasting fortunes for the two teams. Well, actually, not contrasting, very similar fortunes for the two teams. Not going as well as they have done in previous seasons. Ramsey are bottom of Counties 3, ADM, Lancashire and Cheshire. And so the Nomads are also bottom of the Hertford Homes Bank Shield. But still early days in both competitions right now. The two clubs haven't met since last season. Ramsey were the winners on, I think, 4 occasions last season. And they'll be looking to go one step further maybe tomorrow. Difficulties are team changes. It wasn't supposed to be a rugby weekend, so Ramsey missing a whole host of players. And I think there's 8 or 9 changes from the team that played Clitheroe last week. Southern Nomads, they bring in some old heads. And I see Martin Thompson on the team sheet. Martin played for them at centre a few seasons back. He left the island, moved over to Wigan, I think, off the top of my head. He's back for the weekend, so he's going to get a trot out with the men in green tomorrow afternoon. And I also see the veteran wing, Andy Lean, popping back. He's only on the bench, but be interested to see how they go. Ramsey, 2 out of the 3 of the front row have changed. There's a new second row pairing. 2 out of the 3 back row are changed. There's a new pairing at centre, and there's a bit of a reshuffle in the back line as well, with Braden Roach dropping from wing to fullback, and also Simon Corkill coming onto the wing for his first game of the season. So massive changes for both teams, and 2:15 tomorrow at the Murrick Park. That's when it's all going to happen.
You mentioned there, Dave, for both Ramsey and Southern Nomads, it's been challenging starts to their respective seasons. In your opinion, who needs this result more?
Probably Southern Nomads. Ramsey are going to get a lot of experience in Counties 3, which is what they want. But for Southern Nomads, the key for them has been matches. They need to get more under their belt. They've had a trip away to Lymm a couple of weeks ago, won there against the Lymm Reapers, which was a great result for Nomads. And they've used some of their off-island student players. I've seen Tony Quinn on the team sheet for them that afternoon. But for Nomads, it's probably a bit of a bigger deal. Ramsey, like I said, they're going to get those league matches. I think they've got 19 league matches scheduled, played 5 so far, whereas Nomads really need that game time just to keep developing their side. But it'll be interesting. Ramsey have got a few young guns out. Finlow Corkill in the second row, pairing up with Josh Kelly. Dan Kelly, a young scrum half. So they've got plenty of young talent there that are going to be probably the bedrock of the team going forward. And those guys need a little bit of game time as well. So interesting matchup. I'm going to say, I think looking at the two team sheets, I think Ramsey probably on the back foot. I think Southern Nomads might just snatch this one.
Just to quickly go back to Ramsey then, you mentioned we're expecting around 8 or 9 changes to the side that faced Clitheroe in Counties 3, ADM, Lancashire and Cheshire last time out as well. To go on from a point that what you were saying about maybe some of these players being the future of the club, is it maybe a case this weekend of, if one door closes with regulars not being available, another door opens for those who could be stepping in the not too distant future?
Absolutely. Josh Kelly got a few minutes in the Clitheroe game. Dan Kelly's been a shoe-in at scrum half with injury to Josh Lease. And the other youngster, Finlow Corkill, went really well. He got a full game against Clitheroe. Obviously, I wasn't there, didn't see it. The report that came back from him was that he was an excellent operator in the back row. He's paired with Josh Kelly tomorrow in the second row. How they'll fare as a second pairing, difficult to see just at this stage, as Nomads look a little bit heavier up front.
Well, we're just going to take a quick look through that Ramsey squad then that Dave has been speaking about. So this is the side that will face Southern Nomads in the Cheshire Bowl semi-final tomorrow, and that is in the forwards. Dave Harding, Mickey Melvin, Jason Walker, Josh Kelly, Finlow Corkill, Connor Cracknell, Carl Kenyon and the captain Josh Catine in the backs. It'll be Dan Kelly, Tom Moffat, Simon Corlett, Kieran Neal, Stephen Neal, Harvey Collister and Braden Roche. And 4 substitutes available. They are Michael Crane, Carl Schneer, Connor Casey and Juan Collister. And for Southern Nomads, Dave, you sort of alluded to it before, and this is maybe why you've had a bit of a prediction they might come out on top here. With Ramsey missing the players that they are, is this the best opportunity Nomads might have to get the upper hand on, let's say, higher league opposition?
Yeah, most definitely. And they went away in the Cheshire Plate last season. They made it through to the final, had a bit of a tough time against Wallasey in the final over there at Chester, which was a curtain raiser for the Ramsey New Brighton final in the Bowl. So yeah, Nomads will be definitely wanting to go one stage better. And of course, we've got the Manx Cup coming up towards the end of the season. We're going to be starting those games. They're going to be slotted in between league matches. So we're going to get Southern Nomads with an opportunity to have a run at Ramsey, Vagabonds and Douglas. So Nomads, it'll be a massive boost for those boys. And they've got a big club day tomorrow with an event on down at the station at Port St Mary afterwards. So yeah, good club day for Nomads. It would be a great result for them if they could come away with a win.
Dave Christian, thank you very much, our rugby correspondent there. So to take you through that Southern Nomads lineup for that Cheshire Bowl semi-final away to Ramsey at Morag Park at 2:15 tomorrow. Here is the Nomads side. So numbers 1 to 15 in order. It is Stephen McHugh, Jack Slight, Michael Quayle, Sam Kenya, Clayton Matthews, Martin Thompson, Harry Brereton, Dick Seed, George Collister, Mark Young, Zach Hand, the captain Finn McGregor, Connor Stevens, Michael Crane and Rob Crane. And 4 substitutes available also for Southern Nomads. They are Liam Farrer, Norman Winterback, Andy Lean and Sam Slide. So that game between Ramsey and Southern Nomads getting underway at Morag Park tomorrow at 2:15pm. Stay with us. We'll be taking a look at the latest mixed hockey fixtures and also the latest landmark for an island organisation that gives people with disabilities the chance to evolve, grow and succeed through the power of sport.
Manx Radio Sport.
Turning now to hockey and the respective races across the Mixed Premier League, Mixed Division 1, 2 and 3. Hotting up as we now find ourselves 6 games into the season so far. Joining us to take a look through what's another intriguing weekend of fixtures is our hockey correspondent Ben Cunningham. Ben, before we actually get to the weekend fixtures, we did have 2 midweek games because there were 2 Mixed Premier League games from last weekend that were postponed due to the senior national teams being in action in England Hockey Championships last time out. 2 important games as well in the week as well, and I want to start with the one that involved the top 2 sides on Wednesday night. Bacchusset, the defending champions, were 5 wins from 5 at a Castletown Celts who started the night in second with 3 wins and 2 draws, and Bacchusset making a real statement against their nearest challengers during the week. Bacchusset winning this 9-1.
Yeah, a real good win there for Bacchusset, cementing their position at the top of the league and really showing just what high class they have going forward this season. Andy Whiting with a hat-trick, Shea Christian with a hat-trick, Elliot Reid with 1 and Jamie Brown with 1, and Lucy Cartwright with 1, with the consolation goal coming through from Castletown from George Powell. But an absolute massive statement there, and ahead of a big game this weekend for Bacchusset.
Indeed, and Bacchusset 6 wins from 6. Not only that, but they've scored 45 and conceded just the 7. It's quite an imperious record to be having at this stage of the season.
Absolutely, it just shows how strong their squad is, and just going forward, they can just easily bring players in to cover slots if they haven't got them covered.
Indeed. Well, the defeat for Castletown Celts, their first defeat of the season, saw them drop to 3rd because Valkyrie on Tuesday night picked up a 2-0 win over Vikingset, and Valkyrie moving into 2nd on 8 points, moving ahead of Castletown Celts on goal difference. Good result for Valkyrie midweek.
Very good result. I mean, at half-time, this game was only 0-0, so it was all to play for in the second half, and Thomas Titsos and Eleanor Cleaton got the goals for Valkyries to give them that position and to move them up into 2nd on goal difference.
Indeed, so let's take a look then at what's going to be taking place this weekend, bearing those midweek results in mind. So 4 games in the Mixed Premier League, and first off is the earliest pushback of the Mixed Premier League games. 12:35, the meeting of the 2 rivals, Bacchusset and Vikingset at the NSC, and it's been tit for tat between these 2 teams in previous seasons. There's a big gap between them in league standings at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, like I say, Bacchus flying high so far. Vikings just maybe not having the season that they wanted. A couple of players have been missing a couple of each week, so that's not helped them. Of course, these 2 have already met in the Cup, and Bacchus came away with that win. How Vikings would probably love to overcome them in the league and end their 100% record. It could be a tasty game, that one.
And then 3 games pushing back at 5 past 2, and one straight after the NSC is Bacchus B, who 6 in the table, 2 wins from 6, up against the Harlequins A side, Ben, that if they were to take victory this weekend and other results went their way, they could find themselves even as high as 2nd.
Absolutely, it's a massive achievement for Harlequins to think that they've only been in the Premier League now for, I think 2 years now, is a fantastic achievement for what position they could be in by the end of this weekend if results go their way. Backersby, though, they know they need to get something from this game because they're in that bottom of the table battle at the bottom there. And yeah, now we're at the halfway point. Every point is vital.
And at Castle Rushen High School, it's a Southern derby in the Mixed Premier League because Castletown Celts, third in the table at the moment, face newly promoted Castletown Southerners who are still rooted to the bottom in the Mixed Premier League, just the 1 point so far.
Yeah, just the 1 point, but they have been challenging all the teams in this league, which is great to see. They just haven't been able to get that win yet, but it is going to come eventually, I reckon. They're going to get one sooner rather than later. Against Castletown Celts, though, their higher team, you would favour Castletown Celts to come out on top on that one.
And then at 2:05 at QE2 in the west of the island, Valkyries A, who, as we just mentioned, got that good win against Vikings A in midweek. Second in the table now, 4 points behind the leaders. But should Backers A, in the unlikely event, on paper at least, that they slip up, Valkyries A, we're hoping to take advantage there at home against second from bottom Vikings B.
Yeah, and again, Vikings B know that they need to be getting points on the board to avoid being in that relegation spot, which is currently held by Southerners. But Southerners are only just a win behind, just 2 points behind, so all to play for, definitely. But like you say, Valkyries, they'll be on a high after that win midweek.
Moving on to Mixed Division 1, 3 games there this Saturday. The early pushback is at 11:05 at QE2, and that sees Valkyries C up against Harlequins B. These two teams with identical records pretty much so far, well, almost identical records. 2 wins, 1 draw, and then the 3 defeats of Valkyries and the 2 defeats of Harlequins. They've played a game less. Both have the same points haul at this point.
Yeah, and of course Harlequins B have got that game less because their game last week unfortunately was abandoned due to an injury which developed in their game. A great statement from Harlequins on their social media saying that all the clubs came together, on-pitch rivalries were put aside, and all club captains, managers and players all helped in the situation, which was great to hear. Harlequins, though, they've met Valkyries C already this season, and they were 2 up, and then Valkyries clawed it back to 2-2, but then the game got abandoned because of a waterlogged pitch, so it'd be an interesting game, this one.
2 pushbacks at 12:35 in Mixed Division 1. One of those at Ramsey Grammar School sees the current league leaders, Valkyries B, up against Ramsey A in third. And incidentally, just 2 points separating these two teams, and there's another team in between there as well. So it's quite close between these two in the grand scheme of things.
It's quite close, and I want to find out what Ramsey A are up to, because for the last 2 weeks, they've come from behind and won it in the last minute. So I really want to know what's going on in the Ramsey camp. But again, Ramsey A played Backers C last week, who were top, and then beat them last minute. So can they do it again this weekend against Valkyries, who are top this weekend?
And Backers C, you just mentioned there, second at the moment. So it's Valkyries B on 9 points, Backers C in second on 8, Ramsey A in third on 7. Backers C, they're going to be coming up against bottom of the table Vikings C. It's still a tough start for them. 5 defeats from their 5 games so far.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, Vikings C were the team that Harlequins B were playing last weekend. That game is going to get rescheduled. We're yet to get a date confirmed for that. But Backers C, though, you think it would come out on top there, the way things are looking in the league.
Mixed Division 2 then, 3 fixtures there. Early pushback is at 11:05 tomorrow at Castle Rushen High School. Backers Mixed Colts, third in the table at the moment, 2 points off the top, and they're facing the league leaders, Castletown Camags.
Yeah, Castletown Camags looking really good so far. Backers Mixed Colts, like you say, sitting in third, but this league, the top 3, like you say, only separated by 2 points. Of course, Castletown Camags on 9 points, Backers Mixed Colts on 7, so if results went their way this weekend and Backers Colts got the victory, they could see themselves back at the top of the league.
Indeed. Castletown Cushags in fourth, just the 1 win so far from their opening 6 games. They're going to be taking on Ramsey Ravens, also at Castle Rushen High School. Incidentally, all the Mixed Division 2 games taking place at Castle Rushen High School this weekend. Yeah, and this is the game we're going to cover for Saturday Live. This game's got a lot riding on it because, like you say, this league is very still up for grabs, both at the top and the bottom. The bottom only separated by 1 point and the top separated by 2, so all to play for in this league. Indeed, yeah, just a bit of put some numbers on what Ben's saying there. At the bottom of the table, Castletown Cushags, who are fourth, 4 points. Castletown Cosney in fifth on 3, and Ramsey Ravens in sixth on 3 as well. The other game sees the aforementioned Castletown Cosney in fifth, taking on Vikings D, who are second in the table. It's going to be a tough task on paper, at least for Cosney. Absolutely, and Vikings D will be hoping that Backers Mixed Colts could probably do them a favour because Vikings D sit in second on 8 points, and if they were to win this weekend and Camags were to lose, Vikings D would go top of the league. Indeed. And just finally, we'll take a quick look through Mixed Division 3. 2:05 at Ramsey Grammar School. Ramsey Rookies, who are bottom of the table at the moment, will take on Castletown Carrick second from bottom.
Yeah, this will be a really close game, I reckon, between the two bottom two sides in this league. Both teams, I think, are very evenly matched, and this could be a very end-to-end game, I reckon. But I think Carrick might just have the strength on the day, but we'll see what happens.
And before we get to the other two, just some context for how tight Mixed Division 3 is at the moment. Just 2 points separate the top four at the moment. Valkyries D are top ahead of Backers Mixed Bucks. Both teams on 10 points, but Valkyries D ahead on goal difference. Harlequins C are third on 9 points. Backers D fourth on 8. Harlequins C in third, 1 point off the top, up against Backers D, just a point behind them.
Yeah, it's going to be a massive game this weekend for these two sides. Of course, both these two sides are looking to get that promotion spot, and neither side will want to lose anything from this game. It's going to be a close one.
Yeah, it's a 3:35 pushback, as is the other one at QE2. That sees Harlequins D in 5th, and they are going to be coming up against the current league leaders, Valkyries D.
Yeah, and Valkyries D looking really strong so far. 30 goals scored, only 2 conceded. It's going to be a tough day for Harlequins D, but they might maybe be able to pull it off. We'll wait and see.
Indeed, and just a reminder as well, no games in the Mixed Under-15s League this weekend due to being the half-term break. Just finally, Ben, as well, ahead of all matches this weekend, there is going to be a tribute paid, isn't there, to someone who was a very prominent figure in Manx hockey in previous years.
Yeah, unfortunately, last night we got the news that Mike Madrill, a very big name in many ways, both on and off the pitch, has sadly passed away. All games tomorrow will hold a minute's silence before the game as a mark of respect to both his family, friends, and our thoughts are with all the family from the Manx Hockey Association.
Very well, Ben. Thank you very much indeed.
Manx Radio Sport.
Finally tonight, an organisation which offers people with disabilities on the island the chance to succeed, grow and make friends for life through the medium of sport is celebrating a big milestone this year. Special Olympics Isle of Man is celebrating its 40th anniversary throughout 2025. Since its inception, it's provided opportunities for local athletes with disabilities to not just get involved in sport, but also take part in major events around the world. Pete Corkill is the acting sport director and one of the charity's football coaches. He explains what it means to see Special Olympics Isle of Man reach this important milestone.
I think it means a great deal, not just to the coaches, but to the athletes as well. 40 years is such a significant period of time for an island of our size to have had our own team competing in international events in disability sport. But that 40 years isn't just us competing in international events. It's 40 years of community. It's 40 years of belonging. And it's 40 years of opportunities for people with learning disabilities to take part in sport, to train, to maintain fitness and health, but also to make and maintain real lasting friendships.
What are the biggest things that have changed over those 40 years?
With having only been involved in Special Olympics Isle of Man for the last 5 years, I'm definitely an amateur historian. I know that when we first set up, we were competing under the umbrella North West England, and I think that's certainly one of the most seismic changes is us gaining that independence to compete under the Isle of Man flag. I think since that time, the understanding and appreciation of disabilities and the integration of people with disabilities within society has come on a huge amount. That being said, there's still a long way to go, but I think the visibility of people with disabilities, the interest that the local press have taken, not just the press, but the community as well. The Isle of Man community does take a great interest in Special Olympics Isle of Man and has very heavily supported us throughout that time as well. We wouldn't be able to do the things we do. Our athletes wouldn't be able to travel the world and compete in the events and be their personal best if it wasn't for the generosity of the Manx public.
One of the words you mentioned a few times there, community. The community aspect of it that has built over 40 years now. What does that mean to have that community for whether it's athletes, coaches, parents and guardians to have this here on the island?
I think it can't really be overstated just what immeasurable difference that makes to our athletes' lives and to their families as well. With the island being the size it is, everyone's within a relatively close proximity to one another, which again is a massive safeguard and allows people to maintain contact with friends. What Special Olympics provides is an opportunity to maintain friendships through sport, but it also provides families with a community as well. Parents and siblings of people with learning disabilities have got to meet other parents and siblings of people with learning disabilities, which has led to them having a support network as well, which is just as invaluable as the athletes having people to meet up with and support each other too. I haven't actually mentioned the support of the families just yet, and I can't stress enough just how grateful everybody is for the support of all the family members that support our athletes to get to and from training, that support our athletes to come to and from fundraisers. They are very much part of the family and very much part of the charity as well, which we would not be able to do without them.
That was Pete Corkill, the acting sport director and one of the football coaches at Special Olympics Isle of Man, which in 2025 is celebrating its 40th anniversary. Formed back in 1985, originally under the banner of North West England, but in 1995 was able to start representing itself under the Manx flag, and have gone on to take on some great events over the years since then, including the likes of the 2023 at the World Summer Games in Berlin in Germany. That's just about all we have time for on Friday Sport Preview this week. Many thanks to my guests as always and contributors. And don't forget as well, if you want to catch up on anything that you might have missed here on Friday Sport Preview this evening, this programme will be available as a podcast over at www.manxradio.com later this evening. And if you want to catch up on any of the latest sports news, don't hesitate to head on over to the Isle of Man Sports Hub at manxradio.com. All that's left for me to say is enjoy your Friday evening, whatever you're doing, and have a wonderful weekend as well. Until next time, it is bye for now.
Manx Radio Sport.